Earth is our home planet. It's home to everything that we have ever known and everything that we interact with. But we are destroying our home. Every single day, human beings produce incredible quantities of greenhouse gases, such as carbon dioxide, into our atmosphere. This, in turn, adds to the greenhouse effect and heats our planet to unnatural temperatures. These temperature changes are not without consequences. They intensify vicious storms and natural disasters and increase the frequency in which these disasters occur. The impact of these disasters, both socially and on the economy of the world, is monumental. As we continue to pollute our world, these vicious catastrophes have an increasingly negative impact. Although these disasters present themselves in many forms, some of the most notable and pressing economically and socially are heat waves, droughts, and wildfires. First, let's take a look at heat waves.
We begin with the heat wave that's burning up so much of the country.
The National Weather Service calls the heat historic.
It's an epic heat wave.
An intense heat so severe.
We were on pace with the temperatures that were in Saudi Arabia and deserts all over the country, with some of the hottest temperatures in the world.
A heat wave is a prolonged period of excessively hot weather. As a result of increased greenhouse gases, heat waves have been occurring more frequently and at a higher intensity. As shown in this graph, the intensity of temperature anomalies, or changes in the average temperature, has increased as time has passed in the late 20th century and early 21st century. Recent decades have had a much hotter temperature anomaly than those in the 1970s and 1980s. This clearly demonstrates that as time has passed, and consequently more greenhouse gases have been produced by human beings, temperatures have increased at a relatively high rate, and because of this increase in temperature, heat waves are much more likely to occur, and to occur at a greater intensity. In a 2010 heat wave for Russia, temperatures in the central region of the country, including Moscow, were around 50 degrees Fahrenheit above what they should have been for the time of the year. More than 50,000 people died from respiratory illness and heat stress during that time. The temperatures also had a substantial impact on that year's Russian wheat harvest, leading to an economic loss of more than $15 billion. Heat waves affect not only agriculture, but healthcare expenses and energy consumption as well. As for healthcare, a study of a 2006 California heat wave found that hospitals in the state dealt with 16,000 extra emergency room visits and almost 1,200 extra hospitalizations over a 2-week period because of heat-related illnesses. Also, because of extreme heat, people were forced to use much more electricity than usual. The record-breaking temperatures were in 2012 and displayed Austin at 109 degrees, Houston at 105 degrees, and Victoria at 108 degrees. This prompted heavy power usage among the state as Texans tried to stay cool. Estimated statewide usage surpassed 66,500 megawatts for the first time in the history of Texas. In Texas in 1980, consumers paid $1.3 billion more for electric power during the summer than the previous year because of a national heat wave. The demand for electricity, 5.5% above normal, outstripped the supply, causing electric companies to have rolling blackouts. The next topic is relating to droughts. A drought is an extended period of time when a region notes a deficiency in its water supply, whether surface or underground water. A drought can last for months or even years, or may even be declared after as few as 15 days. Generally, this occurs when a region receives consistently below average precipitation. Climate change has proved to increase droughts in dry regions and regions of desert. This graph clearly displays the link between time and the proficiency of droughts. As time has progressed in the last 60 years and average temperatures have gone up, so has the percentage of droughts. The red line displays average percentage of United States regions undergoing droughts. These percentages range from below 20% in the 1950s to steadily increasing and even getting as high as 25% in the early 21st century. Although the percentages are not identical, the trend is clear. Droughts are occurring at a greater rate than in the recent past. Droughts have devastating economic effects. Prices of agriculture are also threatened. Farmers have planted the most corn in 75 years during 2012, according to the USDA, but harvest estimates were recently reduced over concern that excessive heat would wipe out crops. Prices started to climb. With 3/4 of the country in some form of drought in 2012, other crops would also be damaged. Australia went through major droughts in both 2002, 2003, and 1994 and 1995. Farm gross domestic product went down almost 20% in 94-95 and 25% in 2002-2003. Droughts have a clear link with negative economic agricultural results. This displays the major drought in Australia in 1994 and 1995, and the 2002-2003 as it relates to the agricultural share of total production. As shown by the graph, both 1994 and 1995 and 2002-2003's droughts had a very large impact on the percentage of GDP from agriculture, dropping to just over 2.6% in both years from a previous high of over 3.5% just 1 to 2 years prior to both droughts. Our next topic is wildfires. As global temperatures rise, unseasonably warm temperatures become more and more frequent. The effects of an earlier spring and summer cause snow to melt earlier than it would have. Consequently, the soil and ground have more moisture earlier. Because of the earlier snow melt, as the season progresses, forests have less summer water source to retain this moisture, making them more prone to wildfires. As temperatures continue to rise, wildfires will become more severe and intense, in turn becoming much more costly. This graph displays that throughout the last 30 years, wildfires have become much more prevalent. They have risen from damaging an average number of 50 acres per fire in the 1990s to damaging more than 100 acres per fire in 2005. This supports the research that wildfires have become more intense as the climate has become hotter. This collection of data also supports the trend that as time has passed, wildfires have become more intense and in turn more economically costly. Before 2005, there were only 2 major wildfires with an economic cost of more than $1 billion. After 2005, there were 6 wildfires with a cost of more than $1 billion. During a 2008 Trinity County wildfire, $150 million was spent on suppression. After the fire, the county had a depressed economy as a result of the resources spent on containing and stopping this fire. Wildfires also proved to amplify existing seasonal economic patterns, reducing local economic stability in communities for a year or two after the fire. These large wildfires created more drastic seasonal patterns in the years following the event. In 2007, wildfires spread throughout Southern California cost the local economy about $45 million a day from 350,000 residents who have been displaced from their homes. The 1,300 homes damaged translated into $785 million in property damage. A community was surveyed in the southeastern Asian county of Brunei affected by a large wildfire that occurred in Indonesia during 1997 and 1998. Based on 102 randomly selected households, the survey found that 2% of the households experienced hospitalization of a household member, and 22.5% experienced outpatient care of a household member due to the haze. 6% of the sample population reported some kind of self-treatment, and 57% reported that a household member took leave of absence for school or work. Altogether, the social and economic impacts of heat waves, droughts, and wildfires are disastrous. As we continue to emit greenhouse gases, the Earth will continue to have increased temperatures. This, in turn, will cause more of these occurrences, intensifying them the hotter the Earth becomes. And the effects will be seen by everybody. They won't just be stories in the news or articles in the paper. They will be very real experiences with very real consequences. But you can help change this. It's not over.